Well, this is a special edition of McBLOG because a significant thing happened yesterday. A draft opinion of Dobbs versus Jackson, the US Supreme Court case that would overturn Roe v. Wade, was leaked. 5 justices may be about to invalidate the disastrous 1973 Roe v. Wade decision that's led to the deaths of over 63 million preborn children in the US. Now, look, initial votes on the outcome of a case can change. The wording of opinions frequently does as the justices deliberate and circulate draft opinions. And the court is expected to release its final decision in the next 2 months, although they may now speed it up. However, this leak means that abortion activists are enraged that their right to kill the unborn child could be impacted. Even President Biden, whom the mainstream media have defended as a devout Catholic, even though the Catholic faith explicitly forbids abortion, made a religious argument trying to defend abortion. Yesterday, he said, Roe says what all basic mainstream religions have historically concluded, that the existence of a human life and being is a question. Really? Have a listen.
Roe says what all basic mainstream religions have historically concluded, that the existence of a human life and being is a question. Is it at the moment of conception? Is it 6 months? Is it 6 weeks? Is it quickening, like Aquinas argued? I mean, so the idea that we're going to make a judgment that is going to say that no one can make the judgment to choose to abort a child based on a decision by the Supreme Court, I think goes way overboard.
Well, I mean, that's just shocking, isn't it? The law allows for abortion up to birth. You know, he says conception, 6 weeks. I mean, why not 6 months after birth? Why not at the age of 2 years old? Is that when life comes into being? But do you see not only the theological error, but also the hypocrisy of what he says? The current law is by judges, which he likes. The possible new law is also by judges, which he doesn't like. So it goes way overboard. Now, some background. The case that this all relates to, and which is before the US's High Court, is Dobbs versus Jackson, where Mississippi's Republican lawmakers have banned most abortions after the baby is 15 weeks old in the womb. 15 weeks. You know, that is not that radical, actually, of a law. In fact, New Zealand polling showed that there is similar support for that type of restriction in New Zealand, although the New Zealand media probably didn't tell you about that. But polling that we did at the time that the law was being considered showed that just 9% supported the old law in New Zealand, which allowed for an abortion up to 20 weeks. Only 4% believed it should be later than 20 weeks, which is what our current law allows, up to birth. When they actually asked people, what do you think the time limit should be? Guess what the choice of Kiwis was? 15 weeks was the median choice. But in the US, and even amongst pro-death abortion supporters here in New Zealand, they are panicking. The abortion industry and lobby are now working overtime to make sure that Roe v. Wade remains the law of the land in the US, because it sets a precedent for the rest of the world, just as the decision to allow gay marriage in the US gave impetus to New Zealand politicians to do the same. What people may not understand is that if the Supreme Court actually proceeds with this decision, the Mississippi law would get the green light, 15 weeks limit. Roe v. Wade would be functionally overturned, but here's the key bit. Abortion will not be suddenly banned in the US. Individual states would be able to decide whether or not to allow preborn babies to be killed. So, liberal states like California and New York and other Democrat states would become dangerous ground for the unborn child and the pregnant woman, while Republican-led areas like Texas and Florida would respect all human rights and would protect the most vulnerable, the unborn child. Now, the leaked decision says this: Roe was egregiously wrong from the start, correct? We hold that Roe and another case, Casey, must be overruled. It is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives. Make no mistake, as leading pro-life organisations are saying in the US today, this leak was a vile attempt to intimidate Supreme Court justices and pressure them into abandoning their decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. One of the main tweet accounts that monitors the Supreme Court decisions and reports on them said, "It's impossible to overstate the earthquake this will cause inside the court in terms of the destruction of trust among the justices and staff. This leak is the most gravest, most unforgivable sin." Well, I think killing an unborn child is far, far more graver than a leaked court decision. Pro-abortion forces will now spend every waking hour until the Supreme Court makes its official final decision. They'll be spreading fear-mongering propaganda to try and bully and sway the justices. They'll try to publicly pressure pro-life justices to change their votes and to uphold Roe v. Wade. That was the purpose of the leak. But we should expect nothing less from those who want to maintain the right to the killing of babies up until 9 months in the womb. We saw the same propaganda, deceit and manipulation during the New Zealand debate 2 years ago. Somebody commented to me this morning that the majority of Americans, according to the polls, don't want Roe v. Wade overturned. But when the polling has also shows that when you tell the true effect of the current law, nearly 6 out of 10 of young people oppose Roe v. Wade when they find out that it permits abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. And they also support being able to vote on abortion policy in their state, which is what the Supreme Court case will allow if the decision stands. Kristen Hawkins of Students for Life for America said this: "We know that ending Roe is the right decision, returning the issue to we the people from a few judges with an agenda. You won't find abortion written in invisible ink in the Constitution undiscovered until 7 men saw it in 1973. Ending preborn human life is and has always been a judicial error." Well, let me close with this quote from a colleague of mine based in Florida, which I think sums it up perfectly. And he says, "This would not be the end of the pro-life movement, but simply the beginning. We need to show that we can create a world where we can love children and not kill them, that we can create a world where adoption is always the better option, that we can create a world where we care for both women and their children. This is our opportunity now to make the grisly practice of abortion, like slavery, unthinkable in a civilized modern society." Yeah, we'll continue to watch this space and wait expectantly for a hopefully good Supreme Court decision, which will recognize the most vulnerable in our society and which gives all human beings, no matter how small, the right to life.